Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourself for the most frightening motion picture of all time. A film experience that will test the limits of how much terror the human mind can handle.
Y'all want to know about Lake Blood, do you?
Welcome to Fear Town, USA. Enter a town where dreams become nightmares and nightmares become reality. A town where you can have your darkest desires for the price of your soul.
Oh, yeah.
You'll want to run, but you can't escape if you're already dead.
You're gonna pay for this.
You'll want to hide, but surprise! You're already dead. You'll want to scream, but dead people can't scream! To avoid shitting your pants in fear, keep reminding yourself, it's only a movie. It's only a movie. It's only a movie. It's only a series of images rapidly shown in order to create the illusion of movement. But seriously, it's a scripted piece performed by actors and captured on camera. Please do not shit your pants. If you seek terrifying horror,
there's an evil amongst us.
Sinister satanic rituals, pure madness,
Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from?
and sexual eroticism,
Got my balls all wet and everything.
then take a trip to Fear Town, USA.
Oh, shit.
Fear Town, USA. 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 Terror has a new hometown.
Everybody, Benji Carver here, coming to you from the Warp Dimension, as well as another Hole in the Head Fest for an extra, well, I say tasty treat, but that tasty treat might get a little sour also here too tonight. But we are here with Brandon Bassham, who has not one, not two, but three films here at the Warp Dimension and another Hole in the Head Fest, two that'll be available on demand here, and one that will be on our live show, our opening night here on December 11th. Super excited, but also a very awesome welcome Warp Dimension to Merritt Christensen, long-suffering producer here with at the Slashening, the final beginning, as well as I believe you're in Fear Town, USA, if I'm not correct, right?
I did costuming and makeup for that, and then associate producer stuff. So, but not in.
All right. And are you anywhere in Shakespeare Shitstorm? Because I think all of us are adjacent to it as well. I have my own story about it. So,
ooh, now I just want to hear that. No, I had nothing to actually do with that other than just reading the script a few times. That was pretty much it.
Awesome. So, Brandon, let's talk first of all the masterpiece, the newest masterpiece from Troma experience from Lloyd, directing by Lloyd Kaufman, a return to Lloyd Kaufman directing feature films. I think this is the first feature film he's directed since Return of Nukem High.
Yeah.
Part 2. Because I know they split that into two movies, but hashtag not just Shakespeare Shitstorm, but hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, or
yes,
even also
complicated as possible. Yes,
or also Troma's hashtag
Troma's
Shakespeare Shitstorm. So tell us, you got some big shoes that you got to fill in there because this is not Troma's first adaptation of the Bard.
Yeah.
So kind of take us through how the hell Lloyd Kaufman put you in charge of writing this screenplay.
Oh, well, I mean, you have to ask Lloyd exactly how. I can kind of tell you from my end. I had, they were still finishing up Return to Nukem High 2, the second part of the 2 volume they split it up with. Around the time we had finished Slashening, and I had gotten involved with them around that time. John Brennan had liked our work and had brought us in for Troma to distribute our Feartown USA and the first Slashing. And so I think John and a couple other people at Troma were really trying to talk Lloyd into, hey, let Brandon do the Tempest. Because Lloyd's been working on the Tempest, 20, 30 years. It's been his dream project. And I think Lloyd was first time I met Lloyd, I think he was kind of did the usual, whenever people come to meet him, he has a canned riff. And he's like, all right, John wants to meet you. Hey, what's going on? And he kind of did his shtick. It was polite, but it felt like him and hers were doing their shtick. And all right, let's go. But it didn't really pay that much attention. I don't think he'd really watched our movies. I think he just trusted John and they put him out. But they set up a screening of the Slashening and Return to Nukem High, a test screen, a focus screening. So Lloyd had to sit through our movie. And I think he saw the audience response was great. It was at the old long gone videology. And I think that's when he's like, oh, wait, I hadn't watched this yet. This is pretty good. Everybody seems to like this. And then after that, I think he was kind of sold. Then I think he went back and watched. And I think what he really liked was the commentary track we made for the Feartown USA Blu-ray. When we talked about our stories of how miserable it was to make and our no budget adventures. I think that kind of sold him. And after that, hey, you want to take a crack at this? And so they brought me in, and it was a very long process. I lose the timeline. I believe it was probably over a year on the script, which is very long for me to do a script. Lots of ideas from Lloyd. The man's full of ideas, and they change drastically day to day, hour to hour. You get lots of texts with new ideas. But yeah, we met, we talked about it, and I was, of course, I just to work with Lloyd was a dream, but then to do, essentially a sequel to James Gunn's first movie, and that's also, I like to, attach my name to his as much as possible. Yeah, I'm essentially the new James Gunn. Please keep that in mind, people with $300 million budgeted movies, if you're looking for a director, exactly the same. But yeah, it was super exciting to get involved, and also just because I knew it was an important movie for Lloyd, which was, kind of meant a lot to me. So I really put a lot into it, because this is kind of, it's not a swan song, because he's already got more stuff lined up, but it is kind of the big career wrap up for him.
The penultimate.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what they say, that The Tempest isn't technically Shakespeare's last play, but it kind of is. That's his goodbye. And this is kind of that way for Lloyd, but he does already have more stuff planned, so it's not going to be his last thing. But
yeah, I don't think Lloyd Kaufman is going anywhere. So
no.
And we will be with Lloyd, just to add on that, later in this week. This is pretty much all it is Troma's #Shakespeare Shitstorm week here at Another Hole in the Head as well. But I think that's something that's great, that we show that range, as well as that we're showing your first feature film, Feartown USA, which is the no budget, and then you go from Shakespeare Shitstorm, which is its own budget on its own. Kind of give us a little range on that, on Feartown USA, how that started.
Feartown USA? Okay, so, Feartown USA is kind of also, not that they'll ever acknowledge it, it's kind of like the UCB movie, or it's definitely captures time. Everybody in the movie, behind the scenes, which is well over 100 people there. It's 80 people in the movie, another 20, 30 outside of it. Every single person was from UCB, whether they were main stage, they were students, they were teachers. And I'd been there since 2006. And so around 2012, I might get my timelines messed up, but I wanted to do something bigger than just doing sketch. We'd done ton of sketch videos and stuff. And I thought that was also I could kind of see the end of that, the comedy bubble bursting. And I wanted to go do something more involved. And so we were kicking around different ideas, me and my friend, my partner, Ray Ali, who I wrote the movie with, and he helped produce it. We were trying to come up with ideas, and we wanted to do a sketch movie. And then somehow we got around to, if we did a horror movie, horror's the most forgiving for low budgets, horror and comedy. But just doing a comedy, I didn't want to do. I want to make a movie. I've been wanting to make a movie for years. And I think we're in the position to do. I know enough people. I know enough equipment. I think I have enough experience. I could get a movie made. but I didn't want to do what most people do when they make their movie about, I'm Brandon. It's a character named Brian, works a job he doesn't really like, and he can't decide which is this girl or that girl, their usual like dick sucking Zach Braffery. I didn't want to do that. I was like, oh, I want to do something more ambitious, but this might be the only thing I ever make. This might be the last thing I do. This might be the only movie I make. I want to go all out. And so kind of as an inspiration, not so much for the content, but it was like Cannibal the Musical. It's a Troma movie, the Trey Parker and Matt Stone's first movie. Just college guys got together, made a movie with their friends, but it wasn't lazy. There's all sorts of crazy shit in it. And like, that's what I want to do. I want to go for, I wanted to make a cult movie, a movie that I would love if I was like anywhere between 12 and like 23. This is the movie I would fall in love with and make all my friends watch. I'd watch it over and over again. And I wanted to have so many scenes where everybody sees it has a different favorite scene. And so it's, essentially as a sketch movie, but disguised. But we got together and we got, me and Ray banged out the script for a long time. We had a few other writers help us, Pat Foy, Sam Nerisi, Mark Vigent, Dan Kinkle, who are all in the movie, all contributed scripts for it. And I combined them all and all the scenes and put them into one big script, which took several months. Then we, got all of our actor friends, which was kind of the New York comedy community from, again, like everybody that was around in 2012 was people who've been around for a long time experience. And they were like, Merritt was a newbie, was a student at the time. And let's all go make this movie. And I met with one of my friends who, Ryan Stober, who is a professional. And so I'm like, Ryan, if we wanted to make a movie, what's the basics? How much do we need if we're trying to raise money? And so he started calculating and telling us you need this, insurance, blah, blah, blah. And within like 10 seconds, he had our budget up to like $80,000. Like, all right, let's forget that. Instead, tell everybody to meet Saturday. We're going to start making a movie. We're not going to get any of that. We did a Kickstarter. I think we might have raised $4,000. And so we're like, all right, let's get some credit cards and max them out. We're just going to start making a movie. We ended up spending $10,000 total on it. But got all of our friends to work on it. And we found Merritt came in about halfway through. We'd filmed a chunk of the movie. Then we needed help with the costumes. We needed to do like some 70s era horror movie costumes. And Merritt's really good with that stuff. And so she came in, and of course we love Merritt and can't do anything without her now. And that's how, and she was with us the rest of the movie. And that carried her.
Your soul, so.
So yes, I was going to divert Merritt Christensen, costume designer and producer, kind of talk about how you got involved with Fear Town USA. So.
Oh God. So I had moved to New York City not long before I started taking comedy classes, with the whole like concept of finally going to film school, and realized that was super expensive and I was pretty severely in debt. So I was like, fine, I'm just going to go do comedy. And Brandon was my sketch teacher at the time, who happened to be making that movie. So when we wrapped, I guess, yeah, it was like the final day of 101 class when I was a little baby, and you were talking about going to film, blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh, I can do that. Yeah. I know, I've been on set before. I can do that. And then basically had done hair and makeup for like a period of time too. So went and did that and bought a whole bunch of clothing. Most of it was already mine. It got destroyed in that poor lake. I don't want to give spoilers. I don't know what.
That's not a spoiler.
Well, the trailer does a great job, I think, of all that. So as well as I mentioned before the recording, we had a preview night, and that was one of our biggest hits. Was just the trailer alone for Fear Town USA. So I think hopefully folks will definitely check it out. That's the great thing about our preview nights. But yeah, I've every time I make something, my clothing is never the same. Nor do I fit in it. I think I get fatter each time I go back to it. Like I'm like that scene in scene in Friends when Ross puts on his shirt and his leather pants. I'm like, oh yeah, I used to fit in this. So I definitely understand clothing being destroyed on set. It's interesting. So there's some interesting adjacent things in my life going on, even just hearing Fear Town USA. I lived in New York in the summer of 2011. I had been taking UCB classes in LA in 2010, 2011 with Eliza Skinner and Brian Finkelstein, I think, that was my 201 class. That's funny because I was hanging out at UCB that summer of 2011, 2012. So I just missed you all. I did not take a class. That was the only thing.
That was your mistake. You could be there in Fear Town, yeah.
I know. I realized, I was like, wait a minute. I was there that summer hanging out in that.
was he not in the cabin scenes? I mean, I swear to God, he could have been. Like,
Yeah.
blended. So-
You just tell people you were. You blend in.
No, it was
Also-
hilarious. Yeah, because I just taken. I'd also ran out of money. I was like, I had saved aside some money just to live in New York, and so I had no money for classes. So I was just going to the $5 nights, you know, for mods and heralds and stuff like that. And then it just, I think that's hilarious that this is filmed around the time I was circulating New York. So, but now we meet here in the warp dimension. Life makes itself possible. So I just want to get that off my chest. On top of this, so hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, I had a short play at Troma Now that year you started filming. It was it didn't get a lot of attention. It was called Life is Cheap, but I met John Brennan through that. And I was like, hey, John, I'm also, you know, I'd read, you know, Make Your Own Damn Movie. I was like, I know there's a feature coming from Lloyd around that time. And he's like, do you need like an art director, not art director, art assistant or whatever, you know, send my resume. And John's like, oh, great. Yeah, I will get you a call at this and such date. And I'm like, great. And I waited, no phone call. And then I hit back John up again, no response. I was like, well, I guess they didn't want me on Shakespeare Shitstorm. And everyone I knew in New York was auditioning for that at some point.
I even
For some part. Yeah. I don't know. My buddy Alan went in and he was like reading for Shakespeare. And he was like, I don't know what the fuck that was. But he's just like he goes out for everything kind of guy. So just really big, tall, baritone voice dude. So but yeah, so it was very much, that was my story of like, okay, I knew that, and I knew it was, and then I knew the title eventually, yeah, kind of thing. But I totally was my pitch. I'll sleep on floors, but then John never got back to me. So kind of thing. But John's a good guy. I hit him up every once in a while. We'll still talk, but you missed out again on me. You missed out.
You gotta drag him to the warp dimension, man. I feel like filming can probably go smoother there.
It's, well, if we weren't living in 2020, we'd be filming in the warp dimension. Yeah. But then, of course, this place would also not be under rent control squatters' rights right now. So there's a whole lot going on. What was that, Merritt?
It's the bright side. You're looking on the bright side. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got it at the end of the day. I mean, that's something I think Lloyd's ever taught me. You know, as much as craziness goes happen, you always got a lot on the bright side so, of life. And then you watch something like Mother's Day, and you're like, man, him and his brother had some weird ideas back then. But yes, but also let's divert a movie I was nowhere involved in at all whatsoever, nowhere nearby. The Slashening, The Final Beginning, winner of our audience award for best, I believe, comedy.
Thank you, audience.
Yeah, and so our audience definitely responded, because that was the big coin flip. It was like, yeah, like, because Troma always does the, hey, you get one, you got to get two, you know, kind of thing. And you get the second one, and I was like, this one's the best one for me. And so I was really happy that the audience appreciated all the cock ripping, you know. It can go on and on. Yeah, what dick punching, you know. It's, if you haven't seen it, no spoilers. It's a ride. And it's a sequel. And I hear also there is another sequel maybe in the mix happening.
Slashening? Oh, yeah, it'll happen someday. Okay. Nothing concrete yet. Trying to see. Well, I've got a couple other projects to take care of before then. Which will probably need a little bit of a break anyway. We've got a couple other things we're working on. It'll happen. And also need to see where the state of the world to know what it's gonna be about.
Well, that's something I really enjoy, and you touched upon with Feartown, is that sense of time of place, because you mentioned in Slashening, The Final Beginning, that it was shot over a few years, but that it took a certain time frame of really Brooklyn in a few years back, where it was just totally unbearable. And that was definitely the last time I was also in New York, where I was like, I think me and New York are also seeing other people at this point, kind of thing. So talk a little bit about that. I think the one thing that also stands out to me, of course, your amazing choreography you had, that one long take that circles 360, kind of developed into that process a little bit.
Well, a lot of Slashening, The Final Beginning was trying to get better as a filmmaker and do more cinematic things. Fear Town USA, which I love. I think it's probably it's definitely the funniest of the movies we've made, but there's nothing cinematic about it. We just pointed a camera and shot. And everything was very sketch-like, so everything is just like framed like we're on a stage, basically. There's not like there's almost no B-roll. There's almost nothing to cut to. It's just, all right, there's the joke, move on. But what we learned while we made it, so we could make a movie. We could, from start to finish, complete a movie, but we didn't really learn much about filmmaking. Then on the Slashening, the first Slashening, we started to, as we were filming, we started getting better at stuff, but there were things that weren't so, they were like, we just kind of shot that. Things could have done better. The other things like, this is really cool. I wish we would have realized this 3 days ago and 25 script pages ago, we could do stuff like this. And so that's what Slashening, the final beginning, was mostly, hey, let's take, especially the opening, like 12 minutes of Slash. It was just the first Slashening redone in 12 minutes, but polished, and we kind of knew how to do some fancier things. But I wanted to learn more about being a better filmmaker with this one.
What is interesting is that the irony of the hipster Brooklyn. I want to be a better filmmaker on this. And Slashening, the final beginning, is it available on VOD yet, or where exactly?
Not yet. It's still it will be playing at Phoenix FearCon, I believe, this weekend. We've got literally all of our movies are screening somewhere this weekend. Everything we've ever worked on. At Phoenix FearCon, it will be available on demand for, I think, a week.
I think the 11th it starts as well.
The 11th, yeah, I think it's like the 11th or 12th, and it runs for like a week or so, I think.
Cool. I mean, so this whole week you have everything.
Yes.
Your whole resume
yes.
is on display and somewhere on VOD here. And I think it's really exciting. Getting back to Shakespeare Shitstorm just a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that so something that I know Trent Haga has talked about, James Gunn, working on set as well with Lloyd as the movie is processing and stuff like that. I know Trent did like first AD work for Toxie 4, and James was, as the producer, was around. Was there certain roles that you were also assigned, because it's always a multiple hat kind of situation?
No, I would have been on set more. I just couldn't. My wife was always off working. She was literally out of the country for quite some time. I was home with the kid. We went to set a couple times, which is also probably good. Zach DeMicco had to deal with all the stuff that I would have had to do. He got to handle a lot of the James Gunn, Trent Haga jobs of helping handle all the chaos, and Doug Sackman too, handling a lot of the chaos. Which was nice in a way, because I there was a concern when I was writing it, because my other stuff I'd been writing and directing. I was like the boss of everything, and I didn't want to get too I wouldn't do it that way. And so I was kind of happy to not be around all the time, so that wouldn't be a thing. Just write it and hand it over, because, I care about it. I want it to be good, but it's Lloyd's movie. I just want to make sure Lloyd's happy with it. And I didn't want to be necessarily in the way or getting no, don't do that. So I was kind of happy to not be around that much. I went to set a few times. I'm in the movie as an extra, and then also I have one small part as Francis Bacon. But I only went to set a few times. I don't want to spoil anything. There is somebody getting their head blown off in a park, and I did visit the set one day with my daughter, the day they were filming that. And then I had to film my scene one day, and then I went another day, which was, they said, one of the only bad days of filming. It was the smoothest Troma shoot ever. So there were only 2 days where there were problems, but I happened to be there one day when everything went wrong. And it was the day they were doing the titular shitstorm.
Literal on a boat. Also, I hear they did film on a boat as well.
They did. They went to Albania and filmed on an Albanian Navy ship. That's Justin Martell put that together somehow. But most of it was filmed in New York. I forget where the bar was. I think it's Queens. I'm pretty sure it was Queens. But there's just this big bar / nightclub in New York they were able to get it was big enough, and it had enough different rooms that it looks like 8 different locations. So it was home base, which was probably what made it go smooth, as nobody had to sleep on set. Everybody went home at night.
Oh, okay.
Which is the nicest thing you can do on a movie set, is go home.
Yeah, because I mean, reading your make your own damn movie, you're expecting like, yeah, I'm just gonna find a sleeping bag, if that, and just wake up and not and black out, and all of a sudden I'll walk away. There's a Troma movie made, kind of thing. But that's really cool to hear. I mean, that's on the roles that are played that are there, because yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite Troma films is as Terror Firmer, which is, you know, I think gives you the most insightful in all what's going on behind the scenes of Troma. But yeah, it sounds like Lloyd had, and I think also, not to, you know, like I said, I think he knew that there was another UR director. So, and I know James and James Gunn and Trent Howard were not as established yet either. So they were kind of the interns who got the chance, and you've been making movies for a little while. So I think that's something that you had some clout to say at the end. Kind of
yeah, I mean, I would say anything I've ever suggested or whatever, like I've been listened to. Doesn't always do it, but I mean, I've always been treated with respect. I've been treated better by Lloyd and Troma than by anybody else in the entertainment industry that I've ever had to encounter or work with. He's the only person that's treating me like a human being. So I can't,
I can attest to that also, just being a filmmaker myself and making, you know, these weird grindhouse adjacent films, is that he always is, you know, like, oh yeah, just send it over. Oh yeah, send it to Thom, you know, or send it, well, John originally. And, you know, everyone else is like, oh, great job, or don't know, I thought we were cool. Maybe I offended you. I guess you probably were just busy doing something else and didn't care, kind of thing. And I think that's I really appreciate about Lloyd is, if you come with them with stuff, with work, that's not, you know, it's objectively what is well made sometimes, but showing that at least you took the time to write a script or to make a film, a feature or a short, Lloyd will definitely give you the time of day. And in an industry like this, that goes a long way. So luckily doing this festival, we were able to bring you all on, and as well to kind of give it back a little bit. So I'm very happy to hear that it does go. Yeah, Lloyd, the courtesy of Lloyd, his legacy lives on, kind of thing.
Yeah.
On that. But Merritt, I don't mean to like keep you out of here. What is going on with not just the feature films, but wrestling? What is going on with the wrestling circuit?
Right now, not a lot. We are still trying to kind of make stuff. And actually, the really cool thing about indie wrestling right now, I mean, not just my promotion, but a whole bunch of other ones, is that everyone is actually taking the film approach to everything. So everyone is kind of filming these small matches without audiences and then cutting them together and getting creative. So we are working on that stuff with Extremely Serious Wrestling. So we'll have kind of like some new stuff coming soon. This second lockdown kind of.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling that. That's the one that's been a little winded, where it's like, all right. I did see the new David Fincher movie in the theater before it all shut down.
Nice.
That was my one positive note. I was like, okay, it's gonna come on Netflix, but you gotta see a Fincher movie in a theater. And so San Francisco had a theater that had that. But yeah, with Extremely Serious Wrestling, is it mainly based in New York, or where exactly are you located?
Yeah, completely in New York right now. Although we do have some people that I guess kind of relocated to LA that kind of will come out and do their thing with us, and we'll kind of see after this whole pandemic thing. We had a lot of people move away, but I'm like kind of curious to see what stuff we can create even with them out of town, like promos and fun stuff like that. So we had a huge plan for last month that would have been super exciting, and I was supposed to debut a new gimmick too, and I'm super bummed. So that got postponed, but we've got a really cool and kind of creative, very cinematic thing that's coming up, which will hopefully be something new and different, because I'm sure everyone's real bored right now, the stuff that's out there.
Well, I hope folks will be entertained, because we got over 15 days of movies here. Another hole in the head, December 11th to 27th. Not only Feartown, USA, Troma's hashtag Shakespeare shitstorm. It's like onomatopoeia. And also, but many other non-genre films. I hope y'all also check that out as well. I'm not signing off just yet for that on that end, but no, I think it's super exciting. It's like we kind of, I think, built ourselves into it, where a lot of people are like, oh shit, what do we do right now? My whole thing is, what the fuck am I gonna do for January? That's my big fear right now. It's like okay, there's a couple options. But at the same time, yeah, it's like, vaccine's not in just yet, maybe making some stuff soon. I think something that we tried out as a group, my creative collective of filmmakers, we did a interactive tape of Zoom reading the other last week. But I put up posters. Some people didn't have like green screen backgrounds, but introed it. It's a project I've been working on for a couple years that definitely started before 2016 and then definitely came back to and ramped it up quite a bit, which dealing with certain things that we've all been going through the last couple years. But it's a grindhouse style movie that I think y'all will definitely dig. We'll be hopefully shooting that when everyone's safe and healthy again. But yeah, I suggest that as well. Trying out these new things that we all do and failing miserably at it as well. Yeah, it's something I thought was very fascinating with wrestling. I've been watching WWE a little bit more for research, is these insane monitors they have now in that Battle Dome area. Has anyone suggested this? I don't know how the independent scene would work on this.
I feel like it's gotta be so fucking expensive, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, the concept is very cool. It is so Black Mirror to me though, but I don't, it's really, like, I do have to say, as a wrestler, it's like super complicated to like feed to a crowd that doesn't exist. And I feel like your imagination and your excitement can only go so far as a performer. So something like that might be super helpful and very cool. But like, yeah, I think right now everyone is kind of trying stuff where they're filming it more so like outdoors and in different spaces where there's like kind of passerby audiences and kind of like weird, which is cool. So you kind of get the reaction shots from people that are not really expecting to see any of that stuff. So that's like, again, the indie filmmaking way of doing indie wrestling, I guess. So can't afford big monitors, but we can afford people that we don't have to pay or get to sign releases. So that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, you can also just go the luchador route, just wear a bunch of masks. I mean, you can, I've seen, so something I love and why I wanted to highlight is I've been to Rio Mexico in Mexico City. Luchador is, wrestling is something I highly recommend if you have not gone on Sundays, Domingo only, to see. It is just, it got my love back into wrestling. As a kid, I grew up watching it, but then I kind of, fell away from it. WWF became WWE, became too honky tonk, kind of like that, which I liked Honky Tonk Man, but and then my buddy, I was helping shoot a movie down there, and he's like, hey, you want to go see the Luchadores? And I'm like, yes. And I just was like, what is this? And then just following the international stuff. I mean, it just keeps on rolling into and also a feature that I was privileged to work on called Low Life. Have you heard about that at all? It's playing on Hulu. It's about a luchador.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Very cool.
You've seen it?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I know.
Yeah.
It's the luchador movie. Yeah, I have seen that.
Yeah. It's one of my proudest moments on my resume. So I'm working on that as well. So definitely excited on that end. But rewinding back a little bit, Brandon, here. Okay. Is so you started in the UCB scene, or where did you get your start kind of in the entertainment industry then?
Yeah, it'd be UCB. I mean, I'm from Orlando, and I'd been, somewhere after like a year or so after high school, I was in college. I started like, I think I want to be a writer. I think I want to start doing like comedy or some sort of filmmaking type thing. And then I more or less quit school and started trying to do that. Fortunately, right around that time, digital cameras came out. And it's like, all right, let's find somebody get a digital camera. We're going to start shooting shorts. And we did that. I really started trying to shoot a feature film. Like I had written one and cast and tried to, but it kept falling apart because I couldn't find people that would stick with it. So a couple of years of that, I kind of gave up. But then around 2006, I moved to New York and got into UCB, and that like I met people that I liked working with, and that just got me back into working again, making stuff. But then it took another like 6 years to actually start to do a film again. But I had to step up my game a lot because I was around a lot more professional level people. But I'd been trying for a long time. But I had a fair amount of experience of trying and failing to do stuff before I got to UCB. And then I started at UCB and was on teams there and did tons of shows. And there's a period of a couple years though where like internet videos became a thing. Me and my friend Pete, we probably we over 100 videos we probably shot. We were shooting videos for other people, our own stuff. It was like a crazy, like intense workload, which like kind of forged us. It made me a little bit harder inside. We would do 72 hours straight working on stuff to get to meet a deadline, and we did that so much that I think that got me where I'm like, all right, I can handle a movie set. I have the endurance to go out and film a feature film now. And that's where it kind of went to. And then I guess I met so many people, like almost everybody in our movies I knew through UCB, and honestly, most of them were students of mine, people I had taught sketch to, like Merritt, but like, I think on Slashening too, Pat, Addie, I think Jack. I think most of the cast I had as students, and the ones I didn't, I'd worked with on other things.
It's great. It's interesting that what time he came in on, because I remember kind of when I came in kind of working on the industry, I came from SF theater, but that big Funny or Die kind of era of internet movie.
I got in right before all that stuff happened. I started like right as like Derek. I think after like I'd been there a couple months before like Derek, and then Lonely Island and Funny or Die and everything blew up. College Humor blew up. And it was shortly after that when UCB kind of got too big. That's just kind of the downfall. But I was right there at like the ass end when there was enough people there that it was cool and fun. But before it became like a factory where everybody started moving there just to like it was a real college. And, people who, probably should not be doing it. Probably aren't very funny and just like,
bro, I need to like learn to understand and relate to my fellow employees.
People who've never told a joke before, but you know what? I think I'm going to go to that school and get a job as a comedy writer. I've never told a joke before, but that seems like a thing I should do.
I love Conan O'Brien. I want to write for Conan O'Brien.
And which was the downfall of all comedy in general. But
yeah. Yeah, I know it's interesting because I came in this wave. I call it jokingly. Conan moved to LA in 2009. I moved to LA in 2010, right after he got fired. So it was a different wave of how to. I just was like, I just want to learn how to make movies. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop out of college and PA, and but that was definitely my dream was to be working on features. And it was very much this like, oh, just make something with your college friends or make something. And I was like, yeah, but I want to know how to make a big production and not just sit in an office kind of thing like that. And that was interesting crossroads of kind of hybriding that quite a bit on that end. So I think, we definitely were in similar circles on that. And then of course, UCB kind of became this institution.
Yeah.
And when institutions show up, that's when I say,
yeah.
That's time to step away.
The poster still in this fucking apartment. Yeah.
No, it's a great image. I mean, I rewatch also the old seasons, but I do feel like once it's an institution, like we have to be here, and there's a whole, like you said, the machine.
Well, also you can't be punk rock in an institution.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, something I appreciated was because I ran out of money. It's like I couldn't make every $300-400 like 6-week class, but I met Eliza Skinner, and interesting enough, she had just moved from the East Coast to LA, and she needed an intern, a couple interns for her show, early podcast shows that actually Dominic and DC were producing. So I was able to somehow through UCB kind of did what you did, Merritt. Kind of they're like, hey, come along, kind of like that. So Merritt, where did you show up in all this craziness? How did you get to? Are you from New York? Where are you?
What a long story. Would we have like another hour?
Oh, I mean, I do my rush thing. I'm just trying to be like, okay, I know this scene. I know that. Okay, kind of moment.
Like, okay. So I have lived everywhere, but I grew up in northeastern Pennsylvania. In like my younger years, and I started filmmaking when I was a super young kid. I wrote my first scripts when I was like 12 on a typewriter because we were poor and couldn't afford a computer. So I kind of got into it that way. Got into my first film festival when I was 15. Did not do great, but it was still like enough of an idea of like, this is what it's going to take, and everyone's going to hate your first film and probably your second and your third. So I kind of always knew.
were you? And what was the film festival when you were 15?
Oh, it was a super small one in Pennsylvania, the Huntington Film Festival, which had, I think it was like their first year. Spent all summer making a fucking feature-length documentary.
Oh wow.
Edited the whole thing and was like, yeah, I mean, it was totally shitty. I was a 15-year-old kid, but it like wasn't the worst. And they wrote me back and they were like, we can't accept this. And I was like, fine. And then I ended up extending the deadline for, it was like a kind of like a viewer's choice sort of film where it had to be about a potato in some capacity, like just a short that was about that. And then it was in its own special category. So I made like a very Lynchian silent film that just had potatoes in the background, and they loved it. And then they found out I was 15 at the festival, and I think they were kind of like, oh Jesus Christ, okay, that wasn't that bad then. So but yeah, that's like how I got started in it. Always wanted to make movies, spent a lot of time working on that and editing, and yeah, moved around a whole bunch, lived in Vegas, and then that kind of all fell off. And long story short, when I kind of got into working with like the slashing and everything, I basically, special effects, makeup, and costuming kind of became my thing. So I did that for fashion shows and feature films and shorts and stuff for quite a while, actually. That's pretty much it.
No, that's awesome here. I was asking what local film festival because we have one where I grew up called the Poppy Jasper Film Festival. And it started when I was in high school, and I'm always intrigued by local or small town festivals. That I mean, it's a very weird situation. I went back and showed one of my shorts a couple years ago, and definitely was like, this guy's way too much into drugs or something's wrong. Like, but I was like, I wasn't. It was just my short was about a couple that killed their favorite drug dealer. And they wanted to do, I don't know. I love about the festival there is that it's all short films. There's no features. It's all dedicated to short filmmaking. So which is really cool because some festivals, it's like the shorts are like, oh yeah, we just got to add that to it. And I think with another hole in the head, we like to focus here is actually the shorts are kind of our big thing. And then the features are kind of just get the audience kind of in. But we have just under 300 films total this
Nice
festival. So just under 40 features and over 250 shorts. So we had over 300, and then people started saying, oh, I got deals. Oh, I guess because streaming that was on a super buy right now. So some good stuff that got left out. But so happy, so excited for y'all that you're here. Shakespeare Shitstorm, hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. I gotta repeat that over and over again before I meet Lloyd again. We even on the site messed up. Like they're like, it says on IMDb this, and I'm like, no, look at the poster.
Yeah.
On that end. But kind of one thing. I mean, we're winding down here, but one thing that you've been doing to survive this last year, I think every interview I'm gonna do now, and one thing you're hoping for 2021, Brandon.
Drinking. Entirely. That's the only thing. It's been miserable. I've been drinking and then doing interviews about film festivals is what I've been doing to get through this year. And then to get through next year, we're going to be working on several new projects, which we're doing an anthology, which we were going to try to start shooting by now. But when the tide was turning to more lockdowns, they decided, well, fuck it, we'll wait a while longer. But we have a horror anthology we're going to be working on. And then I don't know if I can technically say this yet, but I'm working on another Troma movie. We're doing a sequel to another Troma classic.
Uh-oh. Will it be Squeeze Play? Will it be Stuck on You?
I can't say. You're getting close there.
Will it be Poltergeist?
There should be another in the wake of especially in the wake of the Peter Dinklage news. There is
yes.
There might be another famous popular Troma character might be hitting the big screen again.
Will there be the same car crash over and over again?
Well, the car crash is going to be in any movie made by Troma.
I know where you're going.
Yeah,
I think,
but we can't. Nothing official yet because there's some things I got to get together and send off.
It's okay.
But
I'm gonna pitch Lloyd my sequel to Just Nazis Must Die Part 2. Why he's never gonna
that's
sequel to that.
now's the time to pitch ideas. They are high on Game of Thrones fumes, and it's the
That just sounds
time
like
to-
orgies. I don't know.
But yeah, things are Troma's riding high after 47 years. They're having a banner year coming up here. And then of course we will hopefully by the end of next year we'll know what's going on with Slashening 3.
Super excited. Merritt, how have you been surviving? Favorite thing you've been doing to survive, and also what do you look forward to in 2021?
God damn. Drinking has been wonderful. I've been enjoying that a whole bunch. Because it's only Monday night and I've had half a bottle of wine. So that's
Nice.
great.
It's not Monday. It's just some other day of the week. That's what I call it now.
Honest to God, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Sunday.
I wish it was
Extended Sunday. I call Monday now.
extended Sunday. That works. Mondays are lame. So I've been drinking a whole bunch. I still have my day job, so that's been a thing. Here's an exciting thing. I just passed my private investigator's licensing test in the state of New York. So now I'm officially trying to get licensed. So hopefully that's my big thing in 2021 is Lady Columbo. It's kind of the gimmick I'm going for.
One more question. No, I see your friend on the side coming in, creeping in on the side. So
he's napping, but just casually in front of camera because much like his mother, he is a ham with terrible public speaking. So.
What's his name?
Oh, Malcolm. Hi, baby.
Malcolm in the middle. That's awesome. So this video will get definitely more likes because we have a cat now.
Yeah.
And
God damn it.
thank you, Merritt, for that. Thank you for producing this episode. And on that. But yeah, I think that's so awesome that you have your PI license as well. I'm now a certified substitute teacher, but yet no one's hiring substitutes since we last talked. So we're on the opposite spectrum. So what is it they say? What is the saying goes? From schools to prisons now. So we're on both those sides. On that and both coasts. But that's so cool. Like, I mean, that's something that too also like you'll probably what drew you to doing PI work?
So I work for a nonprofit organization. I don't work for them. I volunteer called the Doe Network, and we work. God, I shouldn't say this because, well, who cares? So we work with missing people.
You don't have to say anything.
Like after I just talked about how much I love drinking every day, this is great. So the Doe Network basically is a nonprofit that's international, and we work with missing people and unidentified remains across. I mean, internationally, but I work for the state of Texas. And we basically research and upkeep cases and try and match MPs with UIDs and present them to law enforcement and try and get the ball moving when cold cases are not so much getting the attention of police forces like they should. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I intern with the NAGPRA office, which doesn't do cold cases, but they do Native American burial and remains to be returned to the nations and tribes that they belong to. So it's a fascinating job. It's an intense job. Sometimes will wear you out at times. Some days are like a revolving shift of emotions that go there. But that's so fucking cool. That you're doing something like that out there, especially in a world like this. That there's a lot of stories to be told that a lot people don't want to talk about, but need to have some sort of closure, some sort of clarity on there as well. I'll leave on the dour note on that. Yeah. But that's awesome. Would love to talk more about that on a separate altogether time. But yeah, I think just so happy that Warped Dimension responded to y'all out there. And also we have you back for another Hole in the Head, 17th annual edition. Technically we've been around for 16 and a half years. We haven't been around for all 17. I don't know. I started coming about 7 years ago to this thing. So, but any final words before we head out of here, out of the Warped Dimension and into another Hole in the Head VOD, December 11th to the 27th, live on Eventive and Zoom. So,
just thanks for having us again, and we hope you enjoy Feartown USA and #Shakespeare Shitstorm.
Yes. Again, thank you so much for having us. I said it before, I'll say it again. Warp Dimension is like my favorite place, and I love your film festival, and I think what you do is awesome. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Merritt. Thank you, Brandon. I'll be signing out. I'm Benji Carver. You can find me at Movie Hopping Benji. Also, any social media tags you want to do before the end? Some people, I noticed it's now not the thing to do anymore. Oh God. You want a PayPal, a Venmo? I know times are tough. info@ith.com is our PayPal. So anything like that, Brandon or Merritt, before we go?
Captain Director at OnlyFans. That's
Uh-oh. Yep. Side hustle 2020. My passive income will be Benji eats cereal. Eat big bowls of cereal every morning. Merritt, any handles, tags?
You can totally follow me on Instagram at Merritt Evelyn. Please also follow, if you will, at Extremely Serious Wrestling on Instagram, just X and then Extremely Serious Wrestling. And then we're also on IWTV as well, independentwrestling.tv.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm Benji Carver. You can find me here in the interview of the Warp Dimension at Kid Glove Killer Hour on Instagram, Twitter at Movie Hopping, and of course IG Movie Hopping Benji as well. Just to throw that out there. It's always a pleasure to see also the next generation of Troma folks, but people that are doing stuff outside of Troma, and just seeing how Troma does fuel our creative minds to keep going in this insane shitstorm of not just a year, I'd say the last 4 years. Can we all say that? So, and but thank you so much, Merritt. Thank you so much, Brandon. We'll see you out there in the outside of the Warp Dimension someday.